Ever since the Grand Nirvana period, the ocean has always been the territory of monsters. The ocean on Earth is much larger than the land, so the endless ocean gave birth to all sorts of monsters. You can say that if you throw a person into the ocean, no matter how good they are at swimming, they'll probably be eaten until only their bones remain in a few seconds. Pacific Ocean, 3,000 meters deep. The gigantic oval-shaped black egg didn't move at all. Around 12 minutes after it fell into the ocean, a 7 to 8 meter long fish-type monster with green scales swam to the side of the egg and circled around it. This fish-type monster slowly swam. With its simple intelligence, it guessed that the egg in front of it wasn't a rock. Suddenly, the fish-type monster opened its mouth. The teeth in its mouth were huge and sharp, and the 2 rows of teeth were like a saw. It opened its mouth and ferociously bit down on the black egg. Ka! The gigantic fish-type monster shook its head in pain. There were traces of blood in its mouth and a few broken teeth fell off. Keep in mind that the strength of its teeth is astonishing. With this fish-type monster's teeth, it can easily crush rocks at the bottom of the ocean. Even the corpse of a horde leader-level monster can't break its teeth. Under its fear, the green-scaled fish-type monster swung its tail and with a chirp, it swiftly left. And the gigantic black egg remained unmoving at the bottom of the ocean. On its eggshell, there were still mysterious golden markings mixed in with the black color. The fish-type monster's terrifying bite from before didn't even leave a mark. Humans on Earth lived their lives as usual. Ever since LuoFeng and Su Xian confirmed their relationship, especially since it was summer break, Su Xian didn't have to go to school. This young couple would frequently travel around the world. Every morning and night LuoFeng trained. In the afternoon was LuoFeng and Su Xian's time. After eating lunch, the two of them rode on an auto jet, which could head to any headquarter city in China in a short amount of time. August 26th morning, Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector, Limit Hall's first floor, LuoFeng's personal training hall. He sat cross-legged on the soaring shuttle as he floated in midair. The third picture. LuoFeng closed his eyes. In his mind, an extremely complicated, maze-like picture appeared. Whoosh, whoosh, shio. The 13 blades swiftly spun around LuoFeng's body, following the path of the diagram in LuoFeng's head. Because the diagram had a large amount of intersecting parts, so the blades would often crisscross dangerously. Wait. Faster, faster. Not good, break. LuoFeng was so nervous his forehead was covered in sweat. One of the flying blades stopped abruptly, and 3 blades flew past its front, back and side. Speed up. Done. LuoFeng fiercely opened his eyes and his gaze swept towards the tactical communications watch on his left wrist. The timer on the watch was rapidly jumping. 5.11 seconds? Although it's slow, it's the first time I've walked through the entire third catalog. But in the middle I braked and stopped, which delayed me by at least a few tenths of a second. This result is too bad. My time is 5.11 seconds, but my passing time is 3.6 seconds. LuoFeng couldn't help but to shake his head. The further he went, the harder it was to reduce time. Finishing in 5.11 seconds and finishing in 4.8 seconds doesn't seem to have much of a difference, but the difference in difficulty is huge. As for the passing 3.6 seconds, that's simply out of reach for the current LuoFeng. The road ahead is long, so he can only take it one step at a time. Continue. LuoFeng closed his eyes and tried again. Usually he can practice it once in a few seconds. LuoFeng has to practice the Celestial Deity Catalog thousands of times every day. You can say that he spends most of his morning training the Celestial Deity Catalog. Usually he'll be completely exhausted after training. As for his nighttime, LuoFeng spends all of his time on body fitness level, blade technique, agility, etc. The sun was already high in the sky around 10 a.m. LuoFeng was still immersed in his training. His powerful spiritual force allowed him to continue training. The only tiredness was the tiredness in his heart. Since even an invincible wargod wouldn't be able to endure thousands of repetitions in the morning without enough willpower to gain strength. Talent is important, but willpower is even more important. LuoFeng opened his eyes and looked outside through the window of the training hall. A dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet was slowly descending from the sky and finally landed on a grass patch in the Mingyue sector. Chief Instructor Wu Tong was leading a few fighters and was welcoming someone. The hatch of the dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet opened and a total of 3 people came out. Sadly, LuoFeng didn't recognize any of them. Who are these 3 people to come to the Mingyue sector? LuoFeng, who was sitting cross-legged on the soaring shuttle, slightly frowned. To be able to ride this fighter jet, they must have some status. Since Uncle Wu didn't tell me to go receive them, they probably aren't that important. As of now, LuoFeng is the examiner of Jiangnan headquarter city and has the strength of an invincible wargod. There are very few people who can make him go receive them. Continue. LuoFeng closed his eyes and continued to train the Celestial Deity Catalog. LuoFeng was very clear that his talent allowed him to reach the peak of the advanced level wargod level, like a rocket. However, now that the dark golden ball has shattered, he can't rely on talent to break through from the wargod level to the existences surpassing the wargod level. He can only work hard step by step. Many people are stuck at the advanced level wargod level and don't know what to do. However, LuoFeng knows a path suitable for a spirit reader. Celestial Deity Catalog. Even though he needs to train countless times, every little bit of improvement brings LuoFeng closer to his breakthrough. Beep, beep, beep. After who knows how many times, his tactical communications watch suddenly rang. Who? LuoFeng opened his eyes and looked at his tactical communications watch. The alarm is ringing. It's already 11:45, time to go back and eat lunch. The soaring shuttle immediately transformed into countless curved blades that flew into LuoFeng's black armor through his neck one by one. LuoFeng landed on the ground. LuoFeng's gaze flashed across the fist strength tester machine. I haven't tested my body fitness level in half a month, let's test it. After the private training hall was built, LuoFeng tested himself once. However, LuoFeng, who used the dragon blood and 1,000-year willow heart, only absorbed a portion of it. There's still a lot of the dragon blood's energy and the 1,000-year willow heart's life force hidden within his body. When LuoFeng trains, these energies are all quickly absorbed, so LuoFeng's improvement has been astonishing. Fist strength. LuoFeng turned on the fist strength tester machine. Peng. LuoFeng's fist was like a shooting star as it smashed into the fist strength tester machine. The fist strength tester machine fiercely shook. This fist strength tester machine that Chairman Zhou and the others gave him was a top-notch machine. Beep. 239,881 kilograms, a number appeared on the screen. LuoFeng let out a smile. Not bad, I'll probably reach 256,000 kilograms after 1 or 2 more months of training. Recently, his body fitness level has indeed increased at an astonishing rate. No wonder even Hong said that LuoFeng continuously used the dragon blood and the 1,000-year willow heart, so there's no need for him to use any other treasures. As long as he absorbs this energy, he'll be able to increase his strength at an astonishing rate. Speed. LuoFeng turned on the speed tester machine and stood on the 80-meter-long track. LuoFeng sped up like lightning. The first step he took instantly broke through the speed of sound. After that, he continuously sped up and reached his limit after around 8 or 9 steps. Just like that, he turned into a blur as he flew past the speed tester machine and swiftly slowed down before stopping. 583.6 meters per second? LuoFeng mumbled as he looked at the number. Not bad. As for his reaction speed? As a spirit reader, does he even need to be tested? He's definitely at the peak of the advanced level Wargod level. In another 1 or 2 months, my body fitness level will reach the advanced level Wargod level. In another 2 years, my body fitness level will reach the peak of the advanced level Wargod level. LuoFeng was wearing a loose dojo uniform as he walked out of the training hall. The training hall's door automatically closed. Examiner Luo. In the hallway outside the training hall, a young man was smiling as he slightly bowed. The commander is waiting for Examiner Luo in the meeting room. Commander? Where's the commander? LuoFeng asked curiously. He doesn't seem to know any commander. The commander of the southeast sector, smiled the young man. Let's go, nodded LuoFeng. However, he was shocked inside. As of now, every headquarters city has a military sector around it. However, most military sectors that belong to the headquarters city are called military divisions. For example, the northern military sector of Jiangnan headquarters city is a military division, and the southeast sector is different. This southeast sector was mainly created to deal with the sea monsters that invade the land from the East Sea. It's a large military sector. A large military sector's military strength is several times stronger than a military division's. Not to mention the weapons they have, which are even more shocking than a military division. In the conference room. The moment LuoFeng stepped into the meeting room, he immediately saw the 3 people inside. One of them was a middle-aged man with a strand of white hair. He sat there straight, his gaze as sharp as a leopard's. Next to him was a middle-aged man wearing glasses. The third person was the hall master, Wu Tong. Hello, Mr. LuoFeng. The middle-aged man stood up. The glasses man beside him also smiled and stood up. Hello. LuoFeng was a bit confused. However, he still had a good impression of them, because he recognized them as the 3 people who had flown over in the saucer fighter. It was obvious that the other party had been here for almost 2 hours, but he did not disturb his cultivation. Instead, he waited quietly. Just this alone was enough for him to give the other party face. LuoFeng. Wu Tong smiled and said, let me introduce you. This is Commander Li Da Wei of the Southeast Military Region. Beside him is Deputy Commander Wang Luohan, Deputy Commander Wang. LuoFeng nodded. As the commander of a large military region, the commander of the Southeast Military Region was a general of the army, which was the highest military rank in China. And regular military divisions, like the commander of Jiangnan headquarters city's northern military region, had the rank of Major General of the Army. Just from military ranks, one can imagine the difference in power between a large military region and a military division. To be able to command the Southeast Military Region. This Li Da Wei is definitely a big shot in China's military. And this big shot actually came personally. And he would rather wait for almost 2 hours than disturb LuoFeng's cultivation. A spirit reader at the peak of the advanced level Wargod level? Not normal indeed. When LuoFeng just entered, Commander Li started observing this legendary genius. The LuoFeng in front of him was wearing a normal dojo uniform and had beads of sweat on his forehead. An invisible force spread out with LuoFeng as the center. That force was like that of a ferocious beast. Commander Li and Deputy Commander Wang were both shocked. What they didn't know was that LuoFeng was too tired from practicing the Celestial Deity Catalog thousands of times in the morning. That's why his spiritual force wasn't perfectly converged and a lot of it leaked out. Everyone chat, I'll be leaving first, laughed Wu Tong. Thank you, Head Wu. Li Da Wei and Wang Luohan watched Wu Tong leave. Even though Li Da Wei and Wang Luohan have high statuses, Wu Tong is still under the command of the Dojo of Limits. The Chinese military still maintains a friendly attitude towards the people of the Dojo of Limits. Commander Li, Vice Commander Wang, let's sit down and talk, smiled LuoFeng as he sat down. Li Da Wei and Wang Luohan also smiled as they sat down. Li Da Wei smiled, I've long heard of Mr. LuoFeng's name. In the Palace of War Gods I've seen Mr. LuoFeng from afar. However, after seeing you face to face, I realized that Mr. LuoFeng's aura is even more extraordinary than when you were in the Palace of War Gods. If Commander Li compliments me again I'm going to fly, laughed LuoFeng. That's not a compliment, it's admiration, laughed Commander Li. I'm 62 this year and I'm only an intermediate level war god. This is the peak of my life. And according to our military's intelligence, Mr. LuoFeng, you once defeated 4 advanced level war gods, Phantom Demon Catalan, Blood Shadow Ethan, Great Bear Kata and Vulture Liao. 3 of these 4 had a black god set. This battle record is simply shocking. The highest level of the Dojo of Limits evaluation of Mr. LuoFeng as an invincible war god matches Mr. LuoFeng's strength. As a fighter, I indeed admire Mr. LuoFeng. After hearing this, LuoFeng didn't get dizzy. However, to be honest, when people hear praises, especially from someone with a high status like the commander of the Southeastern Military Sector, they feel happy. However, LuoFeng can only say that LuoFeng didn't work in the government. To be able to sit in the commander position of a large military sector, other than his ability, he definitely knows how to behave. These simple words made LuoFeng have a good impression of him. After all, Li Da Wei and Wang Luohan were very clear that although their positions in China's military were very high, and Li Da Wei was even a commander of a large military region and a general of the army, they were not as powerful as Wang Luohan. However, LuoFeng is an examiner of the Dojo of Limits. And the Dojo of Limits is the strongest and most elite force on Earth. He had a transcendent status. Although it had yet to establish a country, none of the 5 great countries dared to provoke it. Instead, they were willing to befriend it. They wanted to ask LuoFeng to do something, so of course they had to flatter him and make him feel better. Otherwise, if LuoFeng kicked them out, even if they were the leaders of the military, they wouldn't be able to do anything to LuoFeng. Mr. LuoFeng, if you don't mind, I'll be thick-skinned and call you LuoFeng. Don't call me Commander. Just call me Li Da Wei, Old Li, or Brother Li, laughed Li Da Wei. Haha, I'll just call you Old Li. LuoFeng laughed, Old Li, since you've come this time, just speak your mind. Actually, the Dojo of Limits gave LuoFeng a mail regarding the responsibilities of an examiner. It explained what an examiner has to do and what he has to face. All of that was mentioned. LuoFeng had some vague guesses as to why these 2 came. Alright, I'll be straightforward. Li Da Wei's expression was slightly solemn. Although our human society has powerful fighters and laser cannons, the power of the monster race is too strong. It's not that I'm trying to boost their morale. In terms of the number of experts among these monsters, even the monsters on land have more than us humans. Li Da Wei shook his head and sighed. If it weren't for our laser cannons, how could human society live peacefully in the base cities? LuoFeng creased his eyebrows and listened quietly. The humans and the land monsters are in a stalemate. We won't use the laser cannons to deal with the king-class monster. King-level beasts would not participate in the beast strikes. Both sides have a tacit understanding. Li Da Wei sighed. Actually, the tacit understanding between the 2 sides was when your head, Hong, went to negotiate with the king-level monsters. LuoFeng froze. Humans negotiate with monsters? Hong went to negotiate? The monsters on the ground and in the sky can't fight against us too well. Last year, China had 1 level 1 monster tide, 6 level 2 monster tides and 21 level 3 monster tides. All of this is within the range of what China can handle, said Li Da Wei casually. LuoFeng was shocked. These numbers were all confidential, so LuoFeng didn't know about them. He didn't think that the country would suffer such attacks every year. The most dangerous thing to our country are the monsters in the sea. Li Da Wei's expression was serious. The powerful sea monsters are in the depths of the sea. Even the laser cannons can't threaten them. And the number of sea monsters is way higher than the number of land and flying monsters. How could they submit and negotiate? And, when human fighters enter the sea, they probably only have 20% to 30% of their strength left. We can't even attack, said Li Da Wei as he shook his head. LuoFeng silently nodded. Humans are indeed much weaker in the water. Even that lake on the misty island almost killed him. Not to mention the vast ocean. Humans can't even attack the monsters in the sea. We can only passively defend. Li Da Wei had a sad expression on his face. The sea monsters can follow the rivers and kill their way into the land. The sea monsters have strange abilities. As long as there's enough of them, they can create their own rivers. So we humans can't just let them come in. We have to rely on our location, our laser cannons, and our army to defend. We'll suffer huge losses. Li Da Wei shook his head. Even if we kill hundreds of millions of sea monsters at once. Who knows how many monsters are born in the sea every day? The monsters in the sea fight amongst themselves like the big fish eating the small fish. Many of them die every day. Whether we kill them or not doesn't affect the entire sea monster horde. Li Da Wei was helpless. LuoFeng also felt helpless. Indeed. Monsters would also kill each other. The strong would eat the weak. The sea monsters that humans kill don't affect the entire sea monster horde at all. So I'm asking you, LuoFeng, to occasionally help our southeast military sector deal with some of the stronger sea monsters. Don't worry. Emperor-level monsters don't dare to enter the rivers. Our laser cannons are waiting for them, said Li Da Wei, an invincible war god. In a battle against monsters, he's sometimes even more effective than an army of 100,000. Alright, I accept. LuoFeng didn't hesitate at all. The battle between humans and monsters is a battle for the survival of the race, so he should help. Thank you, said Li Da Wei gratefully. An invincible war god. And a spirit reader. In a battle against a sea monster horde without an emperor-level monster, he's even more useful than 10 laser cannons. LuoFeng, according to our tradition, the military will give you the rank of Major General. Even though you don't have much power, it still represents your status. When you join the army in the future, you'll be able to save a lot of trouble, laughed Li Da Wei. This rank is pretty good. Even the commander of a military sector is only a major general. Haha. Oldly, to be honest, I even wanted to apply to military school during my high school exams, laughed LuoFeng. Oh, then why didn't you go to military school? Otherwise, a great talent like you would be in our military sector, said Li Da Wei. Life is unpredictable, laughed LuoFeng as he shook his head. He didn't even get into military school and now he's a major general. Keep in mind that right now there's no navy in the world. Air Force? Just by looking at the price of a fighter jet, you'll know that the size of an air force is destined to be small. So, nowadays the army dominates the country's military. A major general in the army was indeed a very high position. LuoFeng, even though you don't have much power according to our tradition with your invincible wargod strength, you can get a personal army of 900 people, said Li Da Wei. Oh, a personal army of 900 people? What about the examiner of the Thunder Dojo? Laughed LuoFeng. He's a personal army of 500 people, laughed Li Da Wei and Wang Luohan, who hasn't said a word. They were clear that the Dojo of Limits and the Thunder Dojo have always been competing against each other. The two dojos are spread all over the world. Their heads are number 1 and number 2. They were both existences that rose rapidly during the Grand Nirvana period. And Thunder God is known as number 1 in speed and number 1 in body strength. Maybe in terms of strength, there's a gap between him and Hong. However, he's clearly the closest person to Hong. Just like that, LuoFeng became a major general in the Chinese army and had a personal army of 900 people. Of course, his responsibility is to help the southeastern military sector defend against the attacks of the sea monsters. Time passed day by day and September 1st was getting closer and closer. On the night of September 1st, the Dojo of Limits in the main city sector will hold a large banquet to welcome the new examiner. Night of August 31st. In the audio room, Su Xian's video appeared on the screen hanging on the wall. LuoFeng, what do you think of me wearing this? Is this good enough for the banquet? On the screen, Su Xian was wearing a light yellow evening gown. It's okay, LuoFeng smiled and nodded. Why do you always say it's okay? Su Xian was a bit annoyed. Answer me right now. There are only 3 answers. Not good, average, very good. LuoFeng rubbed his nose and laughed. Alright, this one? Feels average. It's not as good as the purple one you just wore. Oh, I'll try the next one. Su Xian jogged away and disappeared from the screen. Suddenly, the tactical communications watch on LuoFeng's wrist beeped. Beep. Beep. Mail? LuoFeng immediately pressed the button and opened the mail. Archaeological ruin? As if a bucket of ice water was poured over LuoFeng's head, his entire body shivered. In an instant, LuoFeng stopped laughing and his expression became serious. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at the mail on his tactical communications watch and said lightly, "Open the mail." Beep. The title of the mail was opened and a mail with Chinese characters appeared. Examiner LuoFeng. Please arrive at the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters in Hongning Headquarter City before 6 p.m. on September 29th. At that time, many war gods will gather and head towards Archaeological Ruin number 9. Remind of the following 3 points. 1. Archaeological Ruin number 9, which has a relatively low level of danger, is the only place where you can get a black god set. The death rate for war gods who enter is around 72%. The success rate is 28%. Before choosing whether or not to enter, you must think carefully. Once you enter, you can't back out. 2. Everyone only has one chance to enter Archaeological Ruin number 9. 3. Fighters who enter Archaeological Ruin number 9 are forbidden from using special protective equipment such as the Black God set. Protective equipment can only be used by battle uniforms made on Earth. Please seriously consider whether or not to enter. If you plan to enter, please be prepared. Arrive at the gathering point before the appointed time. Dojo of Limits, August 31st, 2057. At the end of this mail was a Dojo of Limits logo in the shape of an official seal. Such a simple mail made LuoFeng's entire body calm down. He lowered his head and looked at the 3 big reminders on the mail. At that moment, the temperature seemed to drop by a few degrees. The death rate is 72%. LuoFeng frowned, and the success rate is 28%. In other words, if you fail, you die. And this ratio is way too high. Out of 4 people, around 3 will die. Clearly, the war gods who dared to enter Archaeological Ruin number 9 were probably the ones with the confidence to do so. However, even if they're confident, the death rate is still as high as 72%. This means that the humans on Earth haven't discovered the pattern of success. If they did, then the death rate wouldn't be so high. And I can't use special equipment such as the Black God set? LuoFeng frowned. What kind of place is this? They even restrict equipment. Late at night, LuoFeng silently sat on the sofa in the audiovisual room. His eyebrows were furrowed and he was extremely frustrated. He knew nothing about archaeological ruin number 9. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy could you win 100 battles. If he were to rush into the archaeological ruin like a blind man, and he was not allowed to use the Black God set, without sufficient defense he might even lose his life. LuoFeng, what do you think of this? On the screen Su Xian changed into another set of clothes. Not bad. LuoFeng looked up and squeezed out a smile. What's wrong? Through the video Su Xian, who was in the main city sector, noticed that something was wrong with LuoFeng. I still have some things to do, I'll talk to you later, said LuoFeng. Oh okay. Don't give yourself too much pressure, you've already done well enough. Su Xian encouraged. The projection on the screen turned off. The entire listening room returned to darkness. LuoFeng sat alone on the sofa. It was already late at night so it was very quiet. After thinking for a while LuoFeng made his decision. Beep beep beep. He dialed the Dojo of Limit's internal number. Even though this was a bit rash, he definitely couldn't just enter archaeological ruin number 9 like an idiot. Hello, the deep voice said. Even though he's called this mysterious person a few times, LuoFeng realized that this mysterious person's voice was always low and cold. Only when he said, "Thank you sir," did this mysterious person's tone change and laugh a few times. "Hello, I'm LuoFeng," said LuoFeng. "I know it's you, Examiner LuoFeng. What do you need?" The voice was as low and cold as ever. "I just received a mail titled Archaeological Ruin Departure Notification. This mail says that the target is Archaeological Ruin number 9, and the death rate is 72%. Also you can't use the Black God set and other equipment, right?" LuoFeng followed up with a question. "Yes," the low voice said concisely. LuoFeng followed up. "I want to know, when war gods go in, are the challenges and dangers the same?" "It's not the same. As long as your body fitness level reaches the war god level, you can enter archaeological ruin number 9. The low voice didn't hesitate at all. When beginner level war gods, intermediate level war gods and advanced level war gods enter archaeological ruin number 9, the challenges and dangers they face are different. Some advanced level war gods might lose their lives, while beginner level war gods succeed. LuoFeng's face slightly changed. "That's what I'm most afraid of. If the difficulty of the dangers I encounter are different, then it all depends on luck. You're strong, but what if you encounter an extremely dangerous situation? However, according to the ratio, advanced level war gods have a higher success rate than intermediate level war gods. Intermediate level war gods have a higher success rate than beginner level war gods," said the low voice. LuoFeng slightly frowned. When he was talking to the head, Hong, from Hong's tone, LuoFeng felt that he could easily obtain a Black God set, without any danger. But now it seems like this place has a death rate of 72%, and the Black God set is forbidden. Why is the Black God set forbidden? LuoFeng couldn't help but to ask. "If you wear a Black God set you can't enter," answered the low voice simply. "What's the success rate for me to enter?" asked LuoFeng. "According to the previous success rates, the archaeological ruin is filled with uncertainties so I can't give an accurate answer. I can only give a vague answer. The success rate should be over 80%, answered the low voice. LuoFeng went silent. Yeah, archaeological ruin is an archaeological ruin because it's special. As of now, humans can't understand them with 100% certainty. When I was talking to the head, from what he said, it should be easy, followed LuoFeng. "I don't know," answered the low voice. LuoFeng froze. "If you want to enter archaeological ruin number 9, you usually have to apply yourself. And Examiner LuoFeng, you were directly picked by the head," said the low voice. "From what I've seen, I can't guarantee that you'll pass with 100% certainty. Maybe the head has other reasons so you can ask him." LuoFeng slightly nodded. "Sorry for the trouble." He hung up the phone. LuoFeng quietly sat in the audio and video room. Even after talking to that mysterious person, LuoFeng still wasn't confident. This archaeological ruin number 9 is filled with unpredictability, so no one knows what will happen inside. Everyone can only go in once. Even if it's Hong, he probably can't go in a second time. Otherwise, a group of war gods wouldn't have to die. Since the head wants me to go, then I'll wait until September 29th. When I go to headquarters, I'll ask the head, thought LuoFeng to himself. Other war gods might risk their lives to get their hands on a Black God set. But to LuoFeng there's no need to risk it. At least he has some confidence in himself to take the risk. Right now he has no confidence at all. If he goes in Kacha he'll die. Wouldn't that be unfair? Only when the profits were high enough would people take high enough risks. A Black God set isn't worth LuoFeng taking such a risk. Night of September 1st, the sky was dark. In Mingyue sector, quite a few patrolling squads of soldiers with live ammunition looked towards the grass field in the distance. There was a triangular dark blue fighter jet parked on the grass field. Around this fighter jet, there were a total of 30 soldiers guarding it. And LuoFeng, who rarely wore a black suit, walked towards the fighter jet. "Officer." The 30 soldiers with guns saluted. Since he was specially conferred the rank of Major General, LuoFeng had a personal army of 900 people. Since Mingyue sector already had soldiers guarding it, LuoFeng split his personal army into 3 squads and took turns patrolling. This mission was indeed quite easy. Okay, LuoFeng nodded. Voila. The hatch opened and LuoFeng entered the autojet like a gust of wind. After that, the autojet started to rise and flew out of the city's defense system. After that, it turned into a dark blue flowing light and disappeared into the horizon. Jiangnan Headquarter City, in the large residential sector where the Dojo of Limits headquarters is located. Around 90% of the Dojo of Limits fighters in the headquarter city live here. The sound of music resounded. In the residential area, there was a large 3-story snow-white villa building. Tonight, there will be a grand banquet to welcome the new examiner. So a long time ago, around 100 meters around this 3-story white villa was separated by a white wooden fence, forbidding outsiders from entering. A red carpet extended from the gate of the fence all the way to the entrance of the white villa's lobby. At this moment, many celebrities of the Jiangnan-based city arrived one after another, including the commanders of the military subdivisions and the commanders of the major military regions. There were also some representatives of the country's special forces, and even some big shots in the government. Only those with extremely high statuses in the HR alliance had the right to attend tonight's banquet. All in all, it was definitely a party of the highest level in the Jiangnan-based city. Haha, Commander Li, welcome. Inspector Luo hasn't arrived yet? Li Da Wei asked with a smile. Today Inspector Luo is the star of the show. This banquet is to welcome him. It's normal to be late. Please understand, Commander Li, President Zhou Jingyong said with a smile. Excuse me. Guildmaster Zhou Jingyong immediately went to receive other distinguished guests. There were a bunch of war gods here today. There were more than 10 generals in the military. Li Da Wei walked to an empty corner with a glass of wine in his hand. A youth in a suit came up and said, Commander, everything is going according to plan. I estimate that there will be a huge commotion in an hour. Oh. A smile appeared on Li Da Wei's face. Music flowed through every corner of the lobby. Handsome men and beautiful women served wine and food. In the lobby, all sorts of famous people were chatting. Old Li, what are you doing hiding here by yourself? A deep voice rang. A tall, burly, middle-aged man wearing a suit smiled as he walked over. Li Da Wei looked over and couldn't help but to laugh. Yi Zhong, you sure came early today as a mayor. It's rare for so many old friends to be here, so how could I not come early? Laughed the burly man. Just from his appearance, this burly man seemed more like a military fighter. He didn't look like a mayor at all. After the Grand Nirvana period, there were only 6 headquarter cities in all of China. The mayors of each headquarter city were all high-ranking officials. Their positions were much higher than the high-ranking officials before the Grand Nirvana period. As of now, a headquarter city has 2 leaders. One is the mayor, in charge of the people's livelihood, and the other is the highest military commander of the headquarter city. And the highest military commander of Jiangnan headquarter city is General Li Da Wei. I heard that you went to the Mingyue sector a few days ago, smiled Mayor Yi. Did you find anything? LuoFeng is quite patriotic, smiled Li Da Wei. Suddenly he glanced into the distance and couldn't help but to laugh. Look, the Su family is here. Mayor Yi also turned his head to look and said, The Su family? I heard that this examiner LuoFeng is dating a little girl from the Su family? Oh, then that should be Su Xian. No wonder LuoFeng likes her. This girl is quite nice. 3 people came from the Su family. The leader was a slightly chubby, white-haired old man. Beside him was a young woman wearing a black evening gown with a noble aura. She looked around 30 years old, and the other one was Su Xian, who was wearing a purple evening gown. A woman's biggest asset is her youth. Su Xian was already young, so she looked even sexier when she wore this off-shoulder gown that accentuated her figure. It made people's eyes light up. Are you unhappy that this little girl from the Su family is with LuoFeng? Mocked Li Da Wei. You can also find a pretty young girl from your Yi family and take LuoFeng from the hands of that little girl from the Su family. This is a 19-year-old invincible wargod. Maybe he'll become an existence surpassing the wargod level in the future. If I don't act now, I won't have another chance in the future. Mayor Yi couldn't help but look at him and smiled helplessly. You old guy, you don't look like a general. At the corner of the hall, Su Xian and her aunt were chatting in the corner of the hall with wine glasses in their hands. Although the Su family was one of the 12 major families in the country, the people who had come today were all important figures. Their Su family was not conspicuous at all. As for Su Xian and her aunt who attended as family members, they were even quieter. Who's talking to Grandpa? Su Xian whispered. It's the son of Examiner Lei from the Thunder Dojo, Lei Yufeng. On the side, her aunt also whispered. Yufeng, your father hasn't arrived yet? The Su family's patriarch, Su Yunghua, was smiling as he spoke to a long-haired youth. Today is the Dojo of Limits banquet to welcome the examiner. That Examiner Luo isn't here yet. My dad is the Thunder Dojo's examiner. Coming so early isn't too appropriate, said the long-haired youth. His voice wasn't low either. This sentence made a few of the Dojo of Limits members who were serving in the hall look over unhappily. Chairman Zhou Jingyong turned his head and glanced over. Chairman, this Lei Yufeng is too arrogant. Chief Yusin couldn't help but to say quietly, this is the banquet for our Dojo of Limits to welcome the examiner, yet he's not giving us any face at all. Their Thunder Dojo has always been at odds with our Dojo of Limits. It would be weird if they gave us any face. Zhou Jingyong laughed coldly. Don't mind him. Our new examiner is an invincible wargod. It's destined that as long as LuoFeng is here, we'll suppress them in Jiangnan headquarter city. Chief Yusin on the side couldn't help but to nod and let out a smile. The Thunder Dojo and the Dojo of Limits are the two strongest armed organizations in the world. The Dojo of Limits is a bit stronger, but the Thunder Dojo isn't too far behind. The two dojos fight to recruit normal students. If they meet a fighter with extremely high talent, the two dojos will also fight to recruit them. For example, LuoFeng received an invitation from the Thunder Dojo back then. Fighters compete against each other. If you build a training camp, I'll build a training camp too. If you have an examiner, I'll have an examiner too. If you have an investigator, I'll have an investigator too. From the bottom all the way to the top, the two dojos have always been in a competitive relationship. Since they only have one opponent, no other power can be their opponent. Even the two dojo masters who were high and mighty, were also eternal rivals. Thunder God, the world's #2 fighter, #1 in blade techniques, #1 in body strength and #1 in speed. And Hong, is the undisputed #1 fighter in the world. Logically speaking, #1 in body strength, #1 in speed, and as long as your reaction speed is about the same. With the explosive power of Thunder God's 9-stage Thunder Blade, you should be able to become the world's strongest fighter. Many fighters thought so too. But after all these years, Hong has always been the undisputed #1. Old Su this is? LuoFeng's eyes flashed when he saw the well-dressed Su Xen. This is my granddaughter, Su Xen, smiled Su Yunghua. LuoFeng actually walked up a few steps to Su Xen and smiled. Miss Su Xen, nice to meet you. I'm LuoFeng. Nice to meet you, Su Xen was a bit surprised. Nice to meet you, just as LuoFeng finished his sentence. The entire lobby went into an uproar. Examiner Luo is here. That fighter jet is an autojet. Last time the organization offered 260 billion Chinese dollars, but the Dojo of Limits refused to sell us an autojet. Examiner Luo came out of the fighter jet. Examiner Luo is so young. As the discussion went on, many people in the lobby headed towards the door. Su Xian and her aunt also walked over, only to see a young man wearing a black suit walking over on the 100-meter-long red carpet with a smile on his face. Everyone's gaze fell on him. Right now, his formless aura was extremely powerful. As a powerful spirit reader, his gaze made people's hearts tremble. Examiner Chairman Zhou Jingyong, the three chiefs Zhu Gutao, Yu Sen and Wang Kufan all greeted him at the door. Chairman Zhou LuoFeng directly walked into the lobby. Examiner, let me introduce you to an important guest. Chairman Zhou Jingyong tactfully brought LuoFeng towards the head of the Su family, Su Yunghua. LuoFeng immediately saw the white-haired old man. LuoFeng once saw this old man from afar, so he recognized him. This is the head of the Su family, Mr. Su Yunghua, smiled Zhou Jingyong. It's a pleasure to meet Examiner Luo. Examiner Luo's name has spread far and wide. However, to meet you face to face, Examiner Luo's age is even more shocking. Su Yunghua's face was full of smiles like a blooming flower. Age and strength, this comparison. Examiner Luo's future is limitless, limitless. This flattery made quite a few people sneer. Isn't it just because you want LuoFeng to be your future grandson-in-law? Do you have to be this passionate? I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. It's my first time meeting old Su, it's an honor, smiled LuoFeng. Examiner, let's go over there. Chairman Zhou was about to introduce another guest. No rush, LuoFeng directly walked towards Su Xen. LuoFeng directly walked towards Su Xian. However, when his gaze swept past the youth with long hair standing beside Su Xen, he couldn't help but to frown. Men all have strong possessiveness. A stranger standing next to his girlfriend, LuoFeng naturally felt a bit of displeasure. Please excuse me, LuoFeng looked at the long-haired man. LuoFeng was stared at by LuoFeng. Just the pressure from LuoFeng's gaze made LuoFeng hold his breath. His consciousness became blurry and he instinctively took a few steps back. After seeing LuoFeng step back, LuoFeng stood in front of Su Xen and intentionally blinked. Su Xen smiled and hugged LuoFeng's arm. Let's go. LuoFeng and Su Xen walked to Zhou Jingyong's side. Zhou Jingyong looked at Su Xian with a shocked expression. He let out a smile and nodded, all right. This scene caused an uproar among all the famous people in the hall. LuoFeng's actions in a situation like this is clearly announcing his relationship with Su Xian. This scene made quite a few people disappointed.